When you think of the ultimate glow up list, a lot of times these lists include certain things that you should be using, products, or some kind of workout plan, something that you're doing physically to your body in order to create the dream woman that you're trying to become. But oftentimes it skips over the mindset piece, the mental attitude that you need to have in order to actually be consistent with your goals to create the dream life that the version of you want to become actually has. So today we're talking all about the mindset that is necessary for the glow up that you're trying to create in your life. You have the potential to be that dream woman. You just need to be consistent in your everyday actions in order to create that reality. So, tip number one is that strong women are intentionally created, it's not an accident. When you think of women that you aspire to be, you're inspired by, you see them having it all together. And you think to yourself, that's for them and not for me. A lot of times there's a missing element. You're not recognizing that, first of all, they wake up and get confused about what direction they want to take their life in just as often as you do. They feel insecure. Their past versions of themselves or criticisms that they received in the past threaten to stop them and rob them of their joy just as much as it does you. But they're intentional about the environment that they put themselves in order to not stumble and fall on their path. Your dream woman is going to look different from my dream woman. So when you think of her, what is she doing with her day? How does she move through life? Don't just think about the actions that she needs to take. Think about the stuff, the habits, the mindset behind the scenes that she needs. So if she's someone who is intentional about her word, she does the things that she says she's going to, she accomplishes her goals. What are her daily habits in order to help her get there? If you're someone who feels like you would love to be a morning person, but you don't get to bed on time at night in order for that to be a reality, you're going to keep feeling bad about yourself that you wake up at midday. And when you decide that this is the woman that you want to be, really give yourself time to achieve those goals. Don't just say it was difficult day one, so I'm not going to keep going. It takes time for these habits to really form. And just like the people that you aspire to be, it's not easy for them either. Tip number two is optimization, not perfection. One of the things that really helped me on my journey and continues to help me to this day is that I'm trying to optimize my already present personality. I'm not trying to create a whole new personality or be perfect. I work with who I am. When you think more about optimizing your day instead of having perfect days, you actually create more momentum in your days. You're more consistent with your goals because you're not saying it's an all or nothing mentality. If I had a fitness goal and I was someone who likes sweets, I would make sure that my diet plan or my fitness plan included the things that I like to eat on a regular basis or a healthier version of those options. Otherwise, if I say to myself, I can't have any of them for the rest of my life, that's not realistic. And then if I decide to have a sweets or some kind of treat snack, and then I feel bad about myself, and now I've shut down and I've stopped going to the gym, having my walking goals, now I'm not actually even on the path anymore to achieving my goals. This is why we're not looking to be perfect because you're human, and trying to be perfect when you're human is ridiculous. The next tip is don't outsource your happiness because there's nothing holding you back. This is especially important if you're someone who is, let's say, in a relationship or surrounded by people who are more toxic or they're holding you back. Sometimes you can feel like you're not achieving your goals because of the people around you. But that's a way of self-sabotaging. That's a way of giving control over your life to someone else. And it's very easy to do. We're not judging ourselves for doing this. We are lovingly acknowledging the areas in which we're doing this and then stopping. For some of us, it can feel very overwhelming to say that you have the ability to change your life. But if you go back to step two, where we're trying to optimize and not be perfect, it gives us more of that sense of control. You may not be able to get your partner to take your fitness journey seriously, but you can. You may not be able to get your family to understand why you've chosen certain paths for yourself, but you can. And when we're not asking these people to give us their approval or understand our path, we're no longer looking for them to recognize our potential. We're seeing it for ourselves, which means our happiness now is not contingent on their approval. It's not based on whether or not they see what you're doing as valuable. When you think about your ultimate glow up, whatever that looks like for you, that version of yourself has a grounded inner peace that is necessary for the next levels of growth. And although you may not be able to see it now because of the situations that you're in, that version of you is rooted in that knowing. It's part of her core beliefs about herself. Which brings me to my next point, which is to dream like your inner child or younger versions of yourself. Think back to the first time you ever thought about love, before you got your heart broken, before you found out that people could treat you bad, when you believed in potentially the fairy tales that you see in Disney movies. That version of you has a belief about love that you potentially don't have anymore. But that doesn't mean it's not true for you too. It doesn't mean that it's not possible to find that level of love. But now you're more aware of what it could look like if it goes in the opposite direction. So when we're dreaming like our inner child or we're dreaming like younger versions of ourselves, we're giving ourselves permission to see that there was more than one path. So even if you got your heart broken, that doesn't mean that it's not possible for you to find love. Just because a partner from before didn't like the quirky parts of your personality doesn't mean that no one in the world will. This step was especially important for me because this is my way of saying it's possible for me too. It's my way of giving myself permission to not be held back by old criticisms, by old habits that I used to do that sabotaged my success. It's giving yourself permission to be too much in a world that says you should be less. My next tip is to find the angle of approach. Sometimes when we're stuck in situations, let's say that you are ready to change, you want to change, you're desperate to change, but you don't know how. A lot of times this means that you're just not seeing something clearly. So if you give yourself permission to take a step back and not just be in the moment, not just feel sorry for yourself or not just be a victim of your situation, it gives you permission to see that there might be a way out. There might be a way of still achieving your goals or still having that deep level of happiness, even if it's not on the current path that you set out for or you thought you were going to have. When I've done this in the past, it gives me more options. It gives me the ability to see that more is available to me. And even if it wasn't necessarily what I was expecting it to look like, it still ends up far better than I imagined. This is probably one of the most important ways of being adaptive in your life because it means that you're more solution focused instead of problem focused. That doesn't mean we don't cry when things get rough or we don't feel like giving up or we don't feel like it's too much at some point. It means that we're giving ourselves the ability to rest. Sometimes the approach that you're looking at is one in which you need to give yourself more rest, give yourself more time, allow yourself to ask for help, see that other people can provide solutions that you're looking for. It can give you the ability to be inspired by someone else's journey. When we're not trying to make everything come from us all the time, this is not the same as not outsourcing your happiness, but it's to say that there could be a different way of doing something that you're not necessarily seeing right now. This is also why when you see women who are just constantly bouncing back, right? They just feel so resilient. It feels like they disappear for a while and then they come back 10 times better. And it's because they haven't given up on themselves or their dreams. They're finding different ways of approaching it. It's also a way of meeting yourself where you currently are. Maybe through life changes, different experiences, you're not as passionate about the same things that you were before, but there's a new way of expressing yourself creatively. There's a new way of feeling more in tuned and connected with yourself. And really, a glow up is that. It's really a glow up journey, is more being comfortable with who you are as the best version of yourself. It's not saying, I'm just going to accept that this is my life, this is who I am. It's redefining what that looks like for you and your approach. My last tip is, don't be what limits your own potential. This is more so of a self sabotage or a limiting belief tip, because sometimes you could be what's stopping you from getting to the next level because you're so used to only being at this level. You're so used to being the friend that's left out or the family member that doesn't really quite make it, whatever that looks like for you. And if you're used to people constantly telling you that you can't do something or you shouldn't do something, and you start to internalize their limitations or their insecurities, you will eventually be the reason why you don't make it to the next level. This is why sometimes when you tell people, you're the one who told me I shouldn't do that, or you were the reason why I didn't go for that. And those people say to you, well, I'm not in control of your life, you are. This is why we don't let people stop us from achieving the things that we want to. Because in the end, they're not going to take credit for being the reason why you didn't make it to the next level. And as irritating as that is, the truth is that your happiness, your ability to receive the blessings that you want in this life is within your control. The ultimate glow up would be to meet that future version of yourself and know that you did everything in your power to make her life a reality. This is really to piggyback off of my last video, especially because I like to do mid-year resets, really paying attention to what habits I have that are helping me reach my goals. And also, it stems from a belief that you can be the happiest, sexiest, most aligned, loveliest version of yourself if that's what you want to do. And most of us who limit our potential, it's not physical limitations, it's mental, it's in our mind. It's this fear that we can't do something, we can't be that version of ourselves. That's for the pretty girl, the skinny girl, the girl with the money, the girl with the family who has connections. No, it's for you too. And we live in a day and age where there's so much information online about what you can do or should do. And really, this is when you want to connect to the deepest versions of yourself and allow yourself to not only dream bigger, but change as you go along. Meet those new versions of yourself, because you could set out to achieve something. Let's say your ultimate goal is to have a certain body. And then as you're on that path, you realize that's not necessarily what you're looking for. Allow yourself to adapt that plan. I hope that the rest of 2025 really is everything that you want it to be. I hope that if you have not really achieved that level of inner peace that you're looking for, that you start to see that it's possible now, that you have everything you need in order to create that dream reality now. And as always, if you're someone who is looking to work with me on a one-on-one basis, the links for that is in the description below. And I will see you in the next one.